Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Friday. It's been a rainy one here in Baton Rouge, but fun weekend on tap here in the capital city. Big St. Patrick's Day parade tomorrow. Got basketball going on. The women are in the PMAC. Men's NCAA tournament. Of course, we got SEC baseball, and we're here to cover all of it on this Friday. Alondra Villarreal and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Ryan Broniger from TexAgs.com covers baseball for them over at TexAgs. He's going to be with us in 15 minutes to talk about this SEC opening weekend for the Tigers and the Aggies over at Olson Field, Bluebell Park. I'll give you some of my thoughts on that weekend series as well in this hour. Want to get you caught up on where things have gone in the NCAA tournament with the SEC teams, what's on tap for the weekend, SEC baseball on the weekend. We're loaded here for the next 2 hours, and our Friday shows, as always, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I went by there today for lunch. It is real tasty. I'll be telling you about Cork's throughout the show today. It's a Lenten Friday. Get on by for lunch if you're looking for a late one. But I want to start with March Madness from yesterday. Of course, we were out at Pluckers yesterday. Had a great time all day watching some games and saw the Furman buzzer beater right there as we were on the air, and everybody reacting over in Pluckers. We had a great time over there. And the day was pretty successful for the Southeastern Conference. It started off with Missouri. As we were on the air, they were taking on Utah State and really controlled that game throughout. Missouri played exactly their style of basketball game against Utah State. They were 10 of 25 from three. That's, of course, 40%. They forced Utah State into 15 turnovers. They always get beat on the glass. They got beat on the glass yesterday. But that's okay because this is how they win. They outscore you. They got to 76 points, and that was enough to beat Utah State. So Missouri moving on, I thought a nice performance by them in a really good first year for Dennis Gates. For them to come into the league play, to play the way they did, to get in the NCAA tournament and to win a game, I think it's been a really good first year for Dennis Gates up there at Missouri. Bama beats A&M Corpus Christi yesterday, 96-75, and that's with Brandon Miller going scoreless. Figure you probably all know that by now, but for them to score 96 points with Brandon Miller MIA, that's nuts. They made 15 threes, and honestly, the biggest development for Bama was not them beating A&M Corpus Christi. You knew that was going to happen. It's the fact that the 2 seed in their regional, Arizona, goes out yesterday. So if you're Bama, you're looking at your bracket, you're going, well, the 2 seed's out in Arizona. Virginia, also in their bracket as a 4, is out. Their path to the Final Four now is to beat Maryland tomorrow, then the winner of San Diego State and Furman next Thursday, and then probably some combination of either Baylor or Creighton. That's a pretty favorable run if you're Nate Oates in Alabama. Now, wild stuff happens in this tournament, but that's a pretty favorable run if you're going to talk about going A&M Corpus Christi, Maryland, San Diego State, Baylor. That's a pretty good run for Bama. They win by 21 yesterday over A&M Corpus Christi. And then the day continued to go the SEC's way as Arkansas beats Illinois 73-63. The Hogs sped Illinois up, and they made them turn the ball over. 17 turnovers by Illinois. And yesterday when I was on the air, I said, look, I cannot trust Illinois in this game because they just don't shoot free throws well enough. That didn't come back to bite them late in the game because Arkansas was in control, but they did shoot 65% from the line yesterday, 17 of 26. And Arkansas, to their credit, this goes all the way back to when LSU and Arkansas played in December. Conference opener. LSU forced Arkansas into shooting 27 threes that night. They only shot 11 yesterday. And that's being disciplined and playing in your lane. You have a tendency to want to be a star in March Madness. And Arkansas can't shoot threes, so don't shoot them. And they didn't. They only shot 11, and they still scored 73 points. Eric Musselman, love him or hate him, he's pretty animated on benches, and if you don't pull for Arkansas, I understand how you could dislike him. I don't really care about Eric Musselman myself. I got bigger fish to fry in Tuscaloosa than dealing with Eric Musselman. But his teams play well in March. Back-to-back Elite Eights, and they win yesterday in an 8-9 game over Illinois, 73-63, a 10-point win for the Hogs. Auburn beats Iowa 83-75. Auburn put 6 guys in double figures yesterday. That's impressive. They scored 52 points in the second half. With 10 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this game, they were up 17. So, look, Auburn played a great basketball game. I picked against them yesterday. I thought Iowa would be able to create some offense the way they do, but I did say that Iowa was not good on defense, and Auburn capitalized on that and played great. I'm sure Houston, and we'll talk about the matchups coming up this weekend later on. I think in hour 2 we're going to talk about that. But I'm sure Houston's really excited with the committee, who has allowed for them, the 1 seed, to play Auburn this weekend in Birmingham. That's fair. I'm sure Houston contingent can get to Birmingham. There's probably a direct flight there. You got a big airport in Houston. If you want to drive it, you could probably do it. What's that, 9 hours? But that's not really fair. In the second round, we're a 1 seed. We're playing 8, and they're in Birmingham. Not exactly sending bouquets to the committee there if I'm Houston, but Auburn gets a nice win over Iowa. Late night game, Tennessee beats Louisiana Lafayette 58-55. Vols were in total control of this thing, and then they did what the Vols do, and this is in their DNA. They went on a scoring drought, and they went over 5 minutes without scoring a point. And then all of a sudden, ULL gets some confidence, and they knock down a couple of layups, and they hit a big 3, and all of a sudden they cut this thing to 3. And Tennessee bowed their neck, and they were resilient, and they got it done. But that was an ugly basketball game. And I guess Tennessee just feels like they've got to muddy up every basketball game because they don't have Ziegler to run the point, and they're just a physical, rough-you-up team. But Tennessee, in this game, in a win, turned it over 18 times, shot 57% on free throws, and shot 4 of 16 from 3. That's not real inspiring, if you get my drift. I mean, they're playing Duke next, and if you come out there against Duke, turn it over 18 times, shoot 57% on free throws, and 4 of 16 from 3, head on back to Knoxville. That jig's over. So, good win for Tennessee. Any win in the tournament, you will take. You will take it by 1. You will take it by 50. Ask Arizona. But that one was not confidence-inspiring if you're Tennessee last night, or at least not from where I was sitting. And then the surprise to me, quite frankly, and I want to spend a little bit more time on this one. We'll get to Ryan Broniger of Tex Aggies coming up in the next segment to talk a little bit of baseball. But Penn State just throttled Texas A&M. Good day for the SEC, not for the Aggies. And the final score was 76-59. It wasn't that close. Andrew Funk from Penn State goes 8 of 10 from 3. Penn State shot 59% from 3, and they were shooting 75% at one time in the second half. They just couldn't miss. And A&M from the floor shot 34%. And this is the stat that gets me. I understand that it was skewed pretty heavily because of the score of the game, but A&M shot 34 threes yesterday. That is not what this Texas A&M team is. This Texas A&M team is disciplined. They're tough. They're physical. They get to the rim. They make free throws. They were just shooting threes yesterday. And when you get down 17 or 18 points, 20 points, you gotta start launching them, I guess, at a certain point. But that's just not Texas A&M basketball. And all I could think about, well, I mean, yesterday as this thing ends, is, man, what a cruel sport. Because in this single elimination tournament, A&M has been riding in the clouds for 3 months. What a team. Home environment, sold out, big wins, consistently, veteran play. They had an identity. They have been great since Christmas. And it is gone in 2 hours. Poof. You play one team that's unconscious, and it's just over. That creates a pit in your stomach. I didn't necessarily have a pit in my stomach when LSU went up to Nashville and got beat by Vanderbilt in the SC tournament and the season was over. That, for A&M, stings because you had to think that this team, if you're an Aggie fan, and you watch them go 15-3 in league play and then win 2 games in the tournament and then lose to Bama in the final, you got to think at that point, the consistency, the high-level wins, what this team has been, you got a chance to make a run into the Final Four. Maybe not probably, but you got to think you have a chance. Then you feel like you get slighted with that 7 seed, and you got to play a 10, and this is just the nature of it. And yesterday when I was breaking this game down, I said, look, Penn State can shoot the 3. They're in the top 10 in the country in three-point shooting percentage, and they got 4 guys in their top 4 scorers all shoot 38% or better from three-point range. So even if 2 of them are not hot, there's the odds that 2 of them are, and somebody could get white hot, and they just couldn't get in Funk's face enough. I mean, he made a couple that were just contested, and he was just unconscious. But that is just a gut-wrencher for Texas A&M to have the season they did and then have it vanish in a non-competitive tournament game over the course of 2 hours. And they just got out of what they were. They were never a very skilled offensive team. They certainly don't need to be shooting 34 threes, and that's what they did yesterday. So they come up on the short end. So in Southeastern Conference yesterday, Missouri wins, Bama wins, Arkansas wins, Auburn wins, Tennessee wins, and A&M takes the short end of the stick. The Kentucky Wildcats today at 6:10 Central Time. They'll play Providence, and I'll get to I'll get to that down the road here in the second hour when I preview Duke and Tennessee, Arkansas, Kansas, Princeton, Mizzou. Hello, get a break, Missouri. Auburn and Houston, and then Maryland and Bama. We'll talk about all that in hour number 2. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Let me tell you this. I made a little change over at Cork's. I noticed today because I went for lunch. And out with the crinkle cut fries, in with the crispy shoestring fries, and they are an upgrade. I loved them today. And they're crispy. The fish was incredibly crispy. I'm telling you, if you think that you're from South Louisiana and there's no way I'm driving through and getting seafood anywhere, just try Cork's once. It is incredibly high-quality seafood. It is seasoned excellently, and it's delicious. Crispy shrimp, big Gulf shrimp. It's fantastic over there at Cork's. It's from the folks that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue. And if you're looking for a Lenten lunch or dinner, swing on by Cork's between Foster and Jefferson on Government Street. It is fantastic. I went through the drive-thru today. They got a guy out there taking your order. He'll run the credit card, take your name, and it gets that drive-thru running efficiently. It is a great dining experience, whether you're in their newly renovated dining room or you're in the drive-thru. Cork's is fantastic. Very much enjoyed my lunch today. Invite you to get on by there. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. When we come back, Ryan Broniger for Texags talking Texas A&M baseball Tigers in College Station tonight. LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In March, we're telling you about Trey Godfrey. Trey has dedicated his career to bettering our capital city of Baton Rouge. Currently, he's the Senior VP of Policy for Baton Rouge Area Chamber. And in his work over there at BRAC, he oversees education policy, among many other things. And that allows him to make an impact from a more systemic perspective. What's more important than educating the youth to ensure that Baton Rouge continues to be a great place to live? Trey Godfrey is certainly a champion of Louisiana. If you know a nonprofit, if you know a business or a person like Trey Godfrey who's doing great work in our state, we want to tell you about him. So let us do it. Go to lwcc.com/champions, lwcc.com/champions, and nominate someone to be a champion of Louisiana like Trey Godfrey. Trey Godfrey is March's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAflooring.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
It's Beck inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Matt will recap day one of March Madness. Terrio's in studio for the Right Radio Hour, and they'll preview LSU's weekend series with Texas A&M. Join us from 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along here on a Friday. Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Tigers and Aggies tonight from Olson Field, Bluebell Park over in College Station. Time to talk about it, so we'll bring in Ryan Broniger of TexAgs.com. Ryan, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are y'all?
Doing well. Give us a weather report. I know it's going to be cold this weekend, but is the rain done?
It looks like the rain has moved through. I'm actually in Houston right now for a lunch meeting, and the rain came through, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 in the morning, came through pretty hard. Up in College Station, heavy north wind, which is going to be it should affect play, I think, this weekend. Olson Field at Bluebell Park, I don't know if you've ever been, but I don't know that I've ever been to a ballpark where the wind direction will drastically change the ball flight as much as it does at Olson. I played at McNeese, and even in Lake Charles, whenever you get a north wind, you could still get the ball out of the ballpark. At A&M, if you hit one into the north wind, you're going to have to really get on it to run a ball out of the ballpark. So I could see a scenario where all these games are going to be kind of in the low-scoring 4 to 5, 6 run area.
Going to be some good pitching on the mound and some good bats out there as well, LSU and Texas A&M tonight. Let's start with last year, Ryan, because not many expectations on this A&M program in year one under Jim Schlossnagle, and then all of a sudden they come to Baton Rouge, win a series, and kind of took off from there and ended up in Omaha. What made that team good?
Well, it was a combination of things. Obviously, I think the leadership of Jim Schlossnagle and his coaching staff behind Nate Yeske, Michael Early, and a guy you guys know really well down there in Nolan Kane. I think you hired an incredible college baseball coach, one of the best in the sport, and then he put together just a phenomenal staff. From there, they did a great job of kind of turning the roster over with the transfers that they brought in, incredibly experienced kids. And then, man, I don't know that it was a talent thing last year. It was those guys knew how to play the game together. They figured it out. Being a bunch of old heads, they found an identity in Baton Rouge, and they were old enough and mature enough and experienced enough to latch onto that. And really, that became their style of play for the rest of the season. And They turned it into the most successful run in program history. So, they're trying to replicate that this year with a lot of the same faces, but it's kind of been kind of weird, man. Like, so through the first part of the season, A&M has played a bunch of really young kids that have 0 college at bats, along with a bunch of kids that have hundreds of colleges at bats. So it's just trying to play mix and match and find the right combination here early on. I think that's been the biggest task for this year's squad, but they're trying to find that same spark they had last year for sure.
You mentioned, and that's where I was headed next, that there's a lot of familiar faces: Austin Boast and Jack Moss and Nathan Detmer and Ryan Targach and all. And you expected a lot from this team, and still obviously do. But it was a little bit of a bumpy start. Lamar got him in a midweek, and then obviously the Portland series did not go very well, and then Louisville just goes nuts on Friday. But since that Louisville game, things have started to level off, and they appear to be kind of figuring some things out. What led to the choppy beginning?
Yeah, I think there's a different mentality that you have to kind of learn to deal with when you go from being the hunter to the hunted. And I think all those kids, they're so seasoned and they're so experienced that it was hard for me to fathom the start in which they had offensively. I mean, I expected A&M's numbers to look like LSU's numbers do through the first couple of weeks of the season. But it's baseball, and you really don't get to pick whenever you get hot or whenever you go into lulls. It just kind of happens. And so I think when you go into these lulls, you learn a lot about yourself as a player, and you learn a lot about your team if you're the head coach. And so if you're an A&M fan, you're looking for positivities after that slow start. You're looking at it and going, okay, they learned a lot. They went through a rocky period early on. They were able to play a bunch of kids to help get them through it. They lost their starting right fielder in Brett Minnick. We won't see him for another couple of weeks. They've been without starting third baseman Trevor Warner for the better part of the week. I doubt he plays this week. So it's been kind of just hit and miss, up and down. But it does seem like, to your point, that it has leveled off a little bit. I know, at one point Austin Boast was hitting 080. Well, that wasn't ever going to last. Now he's up over 320. Jack Moss was hitting under 200 for a little bit. Now he's up over 300. So you're seeing those names that everybody's come to know in the conference. They're starting to play as they expected to play coming into the season. And you're starting to see A&M's offensive plan kind of round into form. I said all week on the radio in College Station that, we'll learn a lot after this stretch of games between LSU and Tennessee and Ole Miss. Those are A&M's first 3 conference series. We'll learn a lot more about this club after that, but it seems like going into these weekends, the ship is kind of pointing in the right direction for the Aggies.
Yeah, people in Baton Rouge are going, man, what an awful start LSU's got here for conference play. You got to go to A&M, then you got Arkansas and Tennessee, and look what they're doing in College Station. They got LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. So it's just a tough league. 30 games is a long time, and they'll get it started tonight. We're chatting with Ryan Broniger of Tech Sags, talking Aggie baseball here. What is this offense's identity when it's rolling?
Yeah, I think it would be similar to what you saw last year, in that they're really good with 2 strikes. They swing at pitches in the zone. Last year's club, they swung the least in the SEC, but when they swung, they did the most damage in the SEC. So they don't have a really high swing rate. I think you get that with an older roster with so many at-bats and so much experience. That's kind of taken a step back this year, having to play so many new guys that are trying to figure out college baseball. And these new guys, I do want to say, extremely talented. Jace Lavallette's an outfielder who was committed to LSU for a while out of the Katy area outside of Houston. He's 6'6", 230 pounds, can run like a deer. He's gonna be a huge player for A&M in his time in College Station, and likely a very high draft pick when he's done. Caden Kent's another freshman that's played a whole lot. We'll see him a bunch this weekend. He's the son of longtime big leaguer Jeff Kent. He has a lot of the same qualities that his dad did, just a hard-nosed, gritty player, really talented kid that's going to play baseball for a long time. But there's a transition period, right? Like, you're jumping in from high school baseball in Texas at the highest level, but it ain't sniffing what's happening in the SEC and especially the SEC West. So they're still going through some growing pains with those guys. And I think that as every time they step in the batter's box, man, it's good for Texas A&M, not only this year's club, but for the future of the program. Those are 2 guys that they're going to lean on heavily for the next few years. And so as they start to kind of adapt to what the program wants them to do offensively, I think the best days for this A&M offense are clearly ahead of it once they, A, get healthy, and B, all these freshmen really start rounding into form and getting more comfortable with what they're doing.
I thought Nathan Detmer's kind of career to this point was summarized perfectly in Omaha last year, where he can't find anything against Oklahoma, and then 5 days later he throws 7 shutout against Notre Dame. What's the difference in good Nathan Detmer and not so good Nathan Detmer? That's who LSU will see tonight.
Yeah, so good Nathan Detmer pitches with a lot of tempo. Good Nathan Detmer is going to get swings and misses on his fastball and his breaking ball. Good Nathan Detmer is going to see a lot of foul balls early in counts, foul balls that are chopped into the ground, fouled toward third base or to the pull side. Good Nathan Detmer is going to get a lot of ground balls to his third baseman and shortstop. So I usually can judge a Nathan Detmer outing by kind of when the opposing team swings, what's the ball doing? Is it going in the air a bunch? That's usually a recipe for not success. That's not the recipe that Nathan Detmer is looking for. He wants to sink the ball at anywhere from 94 to 96 miles an hour. He wants to throw the changeup and the breaking ball off of that. The big thing has been breaking ball command. He had the rough start against Louisville. He was throwing strikes with his fastball. It was elevated and to the point that Louisville was getting some good swings off on foul balls, and then he couldn't land a secondary pitch consistently. And when you have a lineup like LSU's or like Louisville's that's super talented and full of professional baseball players, they're going to make you pay. So, we'll know kind of early tonight. He may have some saving grace. I know Paul Skeens doesn't need much saving grace the way he's throwing the ball right now, but Nathan Detmer may have some saving grace tonight in that heavy north wind. That should keep the balls in the ballpark. But when he's going right, man, he's wanting to sink it, get early swings, get the ball in the carpet, get the ball on the ground as early as he can in these at-bats, and try to create some short innings.
If Detmer gets through 7 tonight and the Aggies have a 1 or 2 run lead, where does Slosh turn in the bullpen for his high leverage outs in Game 1?
Well, A&M is really left-handed in the bullpen right now. All their best options out of the pen so far have been left-handers. He'd like to get some right-handers step up down there, but it's been predominantly left-handed. So if they get to a situation where they can win the game with 6 to 9 outs, I would expect you're going to see Evan Oschenbeck, who's a junior college kid that they almost cut at semester, man. I mean, he was 86 to 89 in the fall, and he got beat up pretty good. And they ran him out there. Schlossnagle said in one of his press conferences, is like, who's ever cut a strike-throwing lefty? And I'm sure he's glad he didn't do that now. And so they ran Oschenbeck out there, I think in the weekend against Portland when they weren't playing well. And all of a sudden he's up to 92, 93 miles an hour and has just been electric out of the bullpen, one of their best arms. So Oschenbeck would be an option, and then Will Johnston's a seasoned veteran in that closer's role. He's closed some big games for them. He closed the other night against University of Houston. Fastball's been up to 96, throws 2 different styles of breaking balls, and has that kind of competitive gene that you want on the back end of games. So if A&M gets into a spot where they do have a lead this weekend, I expect to see those 2 guys.
Ryan, we really appreciate the time. Have a great weekend, man.
All right, thank you, guys.
He's Ryan Broniger of Texags talking some baseball. That is something that I noticed with A&M with the bullpen is that they are very left-handed. He mentioned Oschenbeck, and Johnson's a guy that I've seen numerous times when I watch A&M games, and he's good. They got some arms coming out of the pen. I'm hopeful that the Nathan Detmer that got lit up in Omaha last year and lit up by Louisville shows up, and not the guy who's locked in, because he's a handful on Friday nights as well. I'm gonna give you my full thoughts on this Texas A&M LSU weekend coming up here shortly. Cork's Cajun fried fish and shrimp bringing our Friday shows. They are on Government between Jefferson and Foster. It's an awesome stop there for lunch if you're looking for something this weekend to grab a bite. It's some delicious fried shrimp, fried fish, hush puppies, fries. It's fantastic over there at Cork from the folks that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue. All right, let's come back. We do LSU and Texas A&M preview from yours truly. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, this March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 on the bracket and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting everything from the money line to point spreads to that 5-12 seed matchup that you've been eyeing. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. So sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and make every moment more with FanDuel all tournament long. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued non-withdrawable bonus bet that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great
Me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Henniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at the Cook Hotel and Conference Center on campus at LSU, recapping all the madness. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thanks to Ryan Broniger for jumping aboard, talking all things Texas A&M. I want to tell you a little bit about the Aggies from what I have seen. I've watched them a lot over the last month. It's 13-4 team that had super high expectations entering this season after a trip to Omaha and to the semifinals last year. They got off to a bad start, but they've won 8 in a row. They swept Seattle, and they lost to Lamar, and then Portland came to town, and Portland beat them on Friday. Portland beat them on Saturday, and Portland had a 3-run lead going to the 9th on Sunday. We're looking to slam the door, and I watched the 9th inning, and they couldn't get anybody out. Couldn't throw a strike, couldn't get anybody, and A&M pushed 4 across and beat them on Sunday to salvage a game. Then they went to Minute Maid to Houston, and Louisville got up 15-0 on them. So you're looking at a team at that point which has lost to Lamar, almost gotten swept by Portland, and then got run out of the Dome in Minute Maid with their ace on the mound against Louisville. And I'm going, this doesn't look too good. And since then, they've kind of righted the ship. They beat Rice that Saturday in Minute Maid. They played 16 innings against Texas Tech and beat them, and they haven't lost a game since. So they're playing better. Competition level, not great. So both teams are going to step up in weight class here significantly. Nathan Detmer's the guy that we just talked about a lot. He's going to get the ball for Texas A&M tonight. I've seen him pitch a good bit over the last couple of years. He's 6'4". He's 230 pounds. He's big boy, and he throws it from the right side, and he throws pretty hard. He was a starter for him last year through started 19 games. He was absolutely annihilated in the opener in Omaha by Oklahoma. I've got the box score pulled up here. In that game in Omaha, he gets the ball, goes an inning and 2/3, gives up 7 earned runs on 4 hits and a walk, only had 1 strikeout, and an Oklahoma mauled Texas A&M 13-8 in that game. He turned around 5 days later and faced Notre Dame and threw 7 shutout innings. So there's some volatility there, and it's been this year too. This year he faced Louisville. 2 innings, 4 hits, 6 runs. 4 of them were earned. They tagged him for 6 runs in 2 innings. And then against Northern Kentucky last week, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs allowed, 8 strikeouts and 3 walks. The stuff's good. It's 95 with a fastball. As Bronny was talking about, he'll sink it. Got a good breaking ball, and he's got good enough stuff to find a zone and give LSU real problems. He also may leave the ball up a little bit and be susceptible to some big swings. Now, the weather's important this weekend. It's not something that's really fun to talk about, but Ryan Broniger just led with it. We've been talking about, and it's a real thing. You can't go out there this weekend at Olsen Field and try to hit a bunch of home runs. And I'm not suggesting that LSU is ever trying to hit a bunch of home runs, but it's going to play big this weekend. You need to drive the ball gap to gap. Singles are fine. Run the base. You've got to play offense a little differently than sitting back and waiting on somebody to park one for a 3-run jack. That's going to take some time. The rest of A&M's weekend rotation, Troy Wansing is going to get the ball coming up on Saturday. He's a 6'4", 225-pound lefty, transferred in for Purdue, where he started 12 games last year. This year, he's got 33 strikeouts in 19 2/3. He had 10 strikeouts last week against Western Kentucky. So it's not going to light the radar gun up from the left side, but it's certainly not anything like Butler threw out there, where the guy was throwing 73 miles an hour. It's going to be upper 80s, low 90s. He throws a good change up to right-handed hitters and throws a pretty good breaking ball. He's not, he's not Sandy Koufax out there, but he's a nice left-handed arm. I think there's a narrative kind of trying to swell up that LSU struggles significantly with lefties. You're going to see some lefties this weekend. A&M's got them in the pen, and they got one going on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I can't figure Chris Cortez out on Sunday for Texas A&M. I can't. He's a 6'1", 205-pound right-handed sophomore. He was a bullpen guy for him last year. And his numbers this year aren't very good. I'll run through his starts. I got all of them right here. Against Portland, he went 5 innings, gave up 4 earned runs, 3 hits, and 5 walks. He did strike out 6. So 4 innings, 5 walks, 5 innings, 4 earned runs, and 5 walks. Against Texas Tech, he goes 5 1/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Northern Kentucky, he started a game 2 1/3 innings, 4 earned runs. Clearly the walks are an issue. He walked 5 in 6 innings against Portland. He walked 4 in 5 1/3 against Texas Tech. He's had trouble, obviously, with command. But, man, when I turn the tape on, it is some stuff. 97-mile-an-hour fastball, 88-mile-an-hour slider that's pretty tight. Obviously, he's not throwing enough strikes because I haven't seen every pitch he's thrown this year, but I did turn on some highlights of him this year and saw the radar gun. And then I look back at the stat sheet. I'm going, he did what against Portland? He gave up 4 earned runs? He throws 97 with a pretty good slider. So the numbers aren't great for Chris Cortez, and that would lead me to believe that LSU would have an advantage there with Thatcher Hurd on Sunday. But I can also see a situation where Chris Cortez figures this thing out because that stuff is real. So 3 good arms that A&M has. I think LSU has a pitching advantage on Friday and Sunday. Saturday, I'm not ready to make that commitment to Ty Floyd yet. I'd be thrilled to see it on Saturday, but it's a step up in class for LSU offensively and certainly on the mound. We mentioned some of A&M's offensive players. Look, they weren't going to be a very good team if they didn't have Jack Moss and Austin Boast swinging the bat. And early on, they weren't. Austin Boast started 2 for 25 on the year. He was a stud for him last year. And then over the last 10 games, he's 18 for 37 with 2 homers and 6 doubles. He's found it. And so the guys that are going to do damage are Austin Boast and Jack Moss. And then you got Hunter Haas, I believe it is, who's leading him in hitting. I did not realize until Ryan Broniger said it in the last segment that Caden Kent is Jeff Kent's son. I had no idea that was the case. I've seen him, but I just didn't know it was Jeff Kent's son. Not doing as good enough job as the folks did with Kramer Robertson and his at-bats saying who his mom was. They're not doing a good enough job with Caden Kent's dad. Tell me who it is. But obviously, that's a guy they're going to lean on. Only 3 guys hitting above 300 for this A&M team right now. They just haven't swung the bats really well. So I'll be disappointed, quite frankly, if LSU goes out there this weekend and doesn't have success on the mound. So we switched the focus over to LSU. This is just a large step up in opponent, and I'm a little concerned about it, quite frankly. I'm not concerned about LSU over a 30-game SEC run. I'm a little bit concerned about these 3 because it's just a big step up. I don't know what else to tell you. They haven't been looking at 95-mile-an-hour sinking fastballs since early January when they were playing inter-squads. They've been looking at a bunch of 88 to 91s. That ain't coming this weekend ever. So I know these guys can hit. I know Dylan Cruz can hit. I know Tommy White can hit. I know Trey Morgan can hit. I know Jordan Thompson can hit. Paxton Kling's going to hit. Gavin Dugas, I know he can hit. I'm not concerned about LSU for 30 games. I'm concerned about it for 3 until they catch up. Does that make sense? I'm overly cautious, I think, at times. I think a lot more people that watch this LSU team and fans of them are really optimistic and think that this is the best team in the country and they're just going to roll. And they might. I won't rule that out. I'm just a little concerned about the step up. And so they can do a lot to quell that if they come out and, knock Nathan Detmer all over the yard today. But it's also an important outing for Paul Skeens. I know how good you are against Butler. Let's see how you do in the SEC. I think it's going to go fine. I don't think the cold weather's going to bother him. He's an Air Force boy. He pitched in the cold weather the first 2 weeks here. I think it was pretty cold in Round Rock, too. I wasn't there, but by all accounts, it was cold. So I think he's going to be fine with the weather. I think he's still going to throw 98 miles an hour, and his slider's still pretty good. But that's an intimidating place to pitch. And while we saw Thatcher Hurd and definitely Nate Ackenhausen rise to the level of the environment in Austin, we've never seen Paul Skeens in this environment. I know he pitched in Austin in a regional last year, and it didn't go very well. How does he handle the A&M crowd doing the ball 5, ball 6? How the bubbles are everywhere. They're swaying. Saw the varsity's horns off. There's a lot going on at Bluebell. They love their Aggies. They love their baseball, and they're going to be in a cranky mood because of what happened last night in the NCAA tournament. So they got to focus their attention on this baseball team. It's going to be a loud, raucous environment, and we'll see how Paul Skeens deals with that. He's a really mature guy, and he's a really good pitcher. So my gut tells me he's going to handle it just fine. But again, it's just we learn this weekend. We learn. And this is something that I said yesterday, and I repeated to Cody Worsham on his podcast earlier this morning, and I told you I was going to repeat it again today, and I'm going to lay it to you right here. We're going to overreact to this thing on Monday. I'm just telling you that's the way that this feels, because if LSU loses 2 out of 3, I think people are going to be in a little bit of panic mode over, well, they didn't play anybody in the non-conference, and maybe they're not quite as good as we thought, and maybe Skeens gets lit up, or they don't swing the bat the way, what I think, and heaven forbid they get swept. And everybody's like, oh my God, this team's overrated. And then if they sweep, I think everybody's going to be like, 27-3, here we come. This team's unstoppable. Monday feels like an overreaction day. I'm going to do my best to play it down the middle with what I see over the weekend. But it just feels like, because this is going to be a shock to the system after mercy ruling everybody for the last month, hey, got to go put your spikes on and play some big boy baseball over in College Station this weekend. I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to it. I was having a conversation on the sales floor earlier today, and I was like, I'm so excited to get nervous tonight. As much fun as it is watching 16-2 at times and watching them launch homers off the scoreboard and strike out 18 guys and whatever like that, there's a level of enjoyment that goes into that. But I'm ready for the nerves to start kicking in. I'm ready to get angsty a little bit over what's going on, and there's guys on base. I'm ready for the whole experience. So 6 o'clock tonight. They're on TV tonight. No need to go find it and stream or whatever. They are on the SEC network. 6 o'clock tonight. LSU and Texas A&M will be Paul Skeens and Nathan Detmer, a couple of big old right-handers humming the baseball. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, I watched a lot of basketball yesterday. I'm going to tell you the dumbest thing I saw yesterday in all the basketball I watched. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. Just picture your dream closet. You probably don't have it right now. If you're using the light on your phone to try to shine in there because you're trying not to wake the spouse up and you don't have the room and you can't find your shoes and there's suitcases on the floor, just don't deal with that anymore. Call David Duvall and his team and let them come in. They'll start you with a personal consultation. They'll give you a questionnaire. They'll go through all your belongings, say, okay, you got this. We need space for that. And they will customize a closet for you. And if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not going to charge you to rip out your current closet, and they're not going to charge you for the labor that it costs to put the new one in. They're just going to charge you for the unit itself. Let them put your dream closet in your home. They also help you out with bathrooms, full-scale renovation, or just a tub-to-shower conversion. Changes the functionality and the aesthetic of your bathroom. Onebathandclosets.com is the website. Onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off new 2022 Jeep Gladiators and $8,000 off new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokees. All new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best-kept secret in town is out.
Join us for the Monday edition of Handy Time. We'll have a full weekend of NCAA tournament reaction to recap, plus LSU's opening SEC series at Texas A&M. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Delicious over there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Had it for lunch today. It is fantastic. Try the new fries. They went away from the crinkle cut. Got the crispy shoestring. It is an upgrade over there. Cork sauce is awesome too. Appreciate them for bringing us Friday shows. I teased this coming in. The dumbest thing I saw yesterday watching the tournament. So I'm watching the A&M game last night, and I look up at the out-of-town scoreboard on the top that they're always running, and I see the ULL Tennessee score. And Tennessee's abbreviated TENN, and ULL's is L''SIANA. The first apostrophe, I think, in the history of scoreboards. Taylor's got the picture up right here. It looks so stupid. And because of this, I look at it and I go, I know exactly what happened here. It's very clear, very obvious. So what Taylor and I are going to do is recreate the discussion that was very obviously had between Louisiana Lafayette Sports Information Department and CBS's production crew. Taylor will play the CBS production crew. I will play ULL's Sports Information Department. This is, I bet you, a verbatim shot-for-shot replay of the conversation that was had earlier this week. So, Taylor, take it away as the production manager over at CBS.
Hey there, I'm Taylor with CBS Sports. How are you?
Hey, Taylor, I'm doing great. Excited to be here in Orlando. Our Cajun Nation is coming over from Lafayette. It's been an awesome year for us.
Yeah, first off, congrats on that.
Thanks.
Look, heck of a run you had. Just want to tie up a few loose ends. A reminder, Coach Marlin for a sideline interview in the second half. Won't take longer than about a minute and a half. We'll need to reserve the rights to the highlights so we can use them in one shining moment. And I think that's about it.
No, that's not it. I have one more question. What are y'all going to put for our name on the out-of-town scoreboard up on the top of the screen?
Oh, well, I mean, believe it or not, we hadn't really thought of that. Do you have something like specific in mind?
Yeah, we're going to need you to put UL on that.
Well, I'm not sure about that. We may need to be a little bit more specific.
Okay, so we're playing Tennessee. They're the University of Tennessee, and we're the University of Louisiana. So what are you going to put for our opponent, Tennessee?
Well, we're going to put TENN.
Okay. So put LOU for us.
Well, yeah, so you see, we can't do that. If you're familiar with the University of Louisville, basketball power, you can't really use that. They use that, and there's limited space, so... why don't we just use something like...
Don't say it. Don't even say it. Don't say it.
Well, I was going to say ULL.
No! Don't say that! You cannot put that on the scoreboard.
Fine. I'm sorry. We know you're sensitive about this. We could do something different. How about L-LAF?
No! You can't put that! Don't do that to us.
Okay,
We're Louisiana.
Okay, sir, look, we cannot fit Louisiana on the scoreboard. It's too long.
Well, then you better put an apostrophe on the scoreboard so that it looks like Louisiana, or we're not even going to play in the game. If you don't put Louisiana on this scoreboard, we're not going to come. We're not going to show up.
All right, look, we'll put the apostrophe. You'll get an apostrophe. It's all good.
And scene. That's exactly what had to have happened. I can't imagine a school more concerned and paranoid about the letters that go on a scoreboard or a jersey or whatever it is. If you've ever covered a game that Louisiana Lafayette has played in, they spell it out in the game notes how you're supposed to refer to their school. They're the only ones that do this. And because of it, it looks so stupid on the scoreboard. L''SIANA? What is that?
If you're not from Louisiana, you're probably not even going to know what that means.
I mean, it's just so dumb.
Look, I'll be honest. I did not think you were going to get us triggered. Look, everybody out there listening, it was a couple minutes before 10 o'clock, and Hunt knows I get here at about 5:30 in the morning. I get a text message from Hunt saying, "Are you still awake?" And I never get that. I was like, yeah. Instantly calls me, and he's like, "You're not going to believe what ULL did. We are mentioning this on the written news." My guy was freaking out.
Look, I don't care what they call themselves. I'm perfectly fine with them calling themselves UL. They can call themselves, we're the best school in Louisiana and LSU sucks university, for all I care. But I don't care. The fact that they go to these lengths to make sure that everyone calls them Louisiana is laughable. It's just, there is no other school that goes to these lengths. And you end up with this on the scoreboard that looks so silly.
Oh, yeah. How'd they do last night? Did they win?
They did not win.
Oh, they didn't win.
They lost to a team that played awful and turned it over 18 times and couldn't make a free throw or a three.
But it was still good enough to beat ULO?
It was.
Okay. Just checking. I fell asleep before that.
Hour 2 is coming up. Get you ready for the weekend in March Madness. And we got some other things to talk about. Friday show is brought to you by Corks. We'll see you after SportsCenter on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Friday. I hope your work week is winding down. Got a lot of basketball on tap the next 3 days. Got some baseball on tap as well. We talked a lot about LSU and Texas A&M back in the previous hour. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. I did you a favor, and I watched some SEC baseball last night. I will tell you about that in the next segment, as well as kind of set the scene for the weekend to come. Some really big series coming up. And actually, Bama and Florida are going to finish their series today. They're going to play a doubleheader today. But I will let you know about that in the next segment. I want to get you ready for the SEC teams that will play some more basketball this weekend. It starts today with Kentucky and Providence. It's a 6-11 game that'll be at 6:10 tonight. Kentucky's a 4.5-point favorite in the game. I do think there's some heat on John Calipari to make a move here in the tournament. Everybody in the big picture understands that there's a ridiculous recruiting class coming into Lexington next year, but the tournament results over the last 5 years have quite frankly been pathetic by Kentucky standards. And that needs to change because they're not going to sit here and settle for a above average basketball program. It's not what they do in Lexington. So you got Providence tonight. Bryce Hopkins is Providence's best player. He was a top 50 recruit nationally and went to Kentucky for a year, and now he's with the Friars. I also did not know this until I started doing some research in Providence's point guard is Noah Locke, who was literally at Florida in 2018. It's 2023. He was Florida's point guard for Mike White for a couple of years and had a good little run at Florida. He then made a quick stop at Louisville, now a grad transfer over to Providence, and he's been playing with the Friars. For Kentucky, you know, they've been in some trouble when Oscar Tshiebwe has had to go play defense on the perimeter. He's not good at pick and roll defense. He's not great in space. He's a space eater on the block. He's a rebounder. And he'll drive you nuts on the block, getting offensive rebounds and creating second shots. But when you force him away from the basket, he's not nearly as effective. So the key is whether or not Providence can do that. And I'm picking Kentucky to win the game. I think I'm just picking Kentucky to win the game because I really don't even know. I can't get a read on Kentucky. Haven't really for a while. They played some pretty good basketball at the end of March and then went to Nashville and didn't play well. I'll take Kentucky to win. I don't feel very good about it. But we'll see if the SEC can continue this run. Really good day yesterday for everybody but A&M. Kentucky's the only team in action today. And then big old step up in class here for the rest of the crew coming up on Saturday, unless you're Missouri. I'll talk about that in a second. But Tennessee, as we mentioned in the last segment, did not play well last night. They got out to a lead, and Louisiana Lafayette threw a haymaker back, and Tennessee staggered. I mean, they could not score. And they were on the ropes there and got it done. If they play like that against Duke, they're going to get run. This is a game that you could take the scoreboard off the TV, and I could tell you who's going to win the game. If Tennessee can turn this into a mud wrestling competition, they'll have a chance to win it. But Duke is pretty to watch. Filipowski can shoot the three and drive it and score. Jeremy Roach is a really talented scorer. Duke's got guys that are very skilled players. Kentucky has bullies. Josiah Jordan-James is not the most skilled player in college basketball, but he's 6'6", can jump out of the gym and knock you on your butt. Uros Plavcic is not a scorer. He scores 4 a game, but he's a big bully around the rim. Julian Phillips is long and wide and can do amazing things athletically, but he's still pretty raw scoring. Duke's got guys that you could put in the instructional video. And Duke's been really good. They've won 9 straight, and they beat the brakes off Oral Roberts. Now, you expect Duke to beat Oral Roberts and beat them soundly. If that game was played in Cameron in January, or in December, you wouldn't think twice about it. But most teams are getting a pretty good test in the tournament. Duke did not. They just dusted Oral Roberts. So I think Tennessee's going to get beat pretty good in this game coming up tomorrow. I don't like the way they're playing. I know Zakai Ziegler's down. Rick Barnes has not made great runs in the tournament in his time in college coaching. And I think Duke's primed to toast Tennessee. Duke's going to be a tough out in this tournament. I think they take care of Tennessee's business tomorrow. Arkansas and Kansas is interesting. Bill Self has not been coaching, had that heart procedure and was out. I don't know that he'll be back tomorrow. So it's just been the guys for Kansas. Grady Dick has had a great year. Wasn't even that highly thought of as a recruit, but has played great for them. He had 19 and 11 against Howard. Jalen Wilson, the Big 12 Player of the Year. Arkansas I would be surprised if Arkansas could hold Kansas in the 60s. That would surprise me. That's their preference. They would prefer to play a game that looks like a little bit cleaner version of Tennessee's game, right? But Kansas is another team that's really, really skilled. They're going to shoot. They're going to score. Arkansas is going to have to keep up. Nick Smith didn't show up yesterday. Council did, and he was great, and it was enough for Arkansas, who played a really good game and beat Illinois. But Nick Smith's going to have to show up against Kansas. Arkansas's best players are going to have to play great. And I'm fine if they don't want to. If they want to settle, not shoot. They didn't shoot 11. They shot 11 threes yesterday. They can do that against Kansas and win. But they're going to have to shoot a high percentage from 2-point range. And they're going to have to get to the free throw line. I don't like Tennessee at all. I like Arkansas's chances. I think they can win this game. Musselman's been great for 3 years now in March. I think they've got a real chance, and I wouldn't bat an eye at putting some coin down at Arkansas plus the 3 against Kansas. Missouri gets a break. They get Princeton. That's the dream. When you're a 7 seed like Missouri and you're supposed to get the 2 in round 2, and the 15 gets them. So now Missouri's in the driver's seat to get to the Sweet 16. Missouri wants to play frantic basketball and turn you over, create steals, get up and down and go. We obviously know that Princeton's not going to do that. Princeton turns the ball over 11 times per game. That's in the top 20. That's one of the better numbers in the country. And they're a really good rebounding team, and Missouri's bad on the glass. So it would not shock me if Princeton put a scare into Missouri for 30 minutes of game time. Maybe 10 minutes to go in the game, Princeton's down 4 or 5. I just think over time, Missouri's athleticism and eventually the shots will start falling. Most of the time, as a rule of thumb, teams play a little bit better in the second round than they do the first. In the first, you've had this whole big buildup. You've got to deal with the media. You're in an unfamiliar place. You got all the circus that goes with the tournament, and you may not shoot it great in game one. I think the unders went crazy yesterday, especially the first half unders. But day two, you're comfortable with it, and Missouri's just a lot better than Princeton. So I love Missouri in this game. I think Missouri is headed to the Sweet 16, and that is awesome for Coach Gates in his first year. That's a basketball team and a program in Missouri. We were promised when they came to the SEC that was going to be a big boon for the basketball side of things, which was not in very good shape. Well, Missouri's got a really good basketball. They've stunk. They haven't been good at all. Running through coaches, probation, they haven't been a factor at all. This team has its flaws. They're not very big. They don't rebound worth the flip, but they can shoot. And I think they'll shoot Princeton off the floor tomorrow. I like Missouri to handle Princeton. Auburn and Houston. I mentioned this in the first half. I don't think Houston's going to be sending the committee any flowers or Christmas cards moving forward. Yeah, we appreciate your season. Really nice job. We'll give you a 1 seed, but go play Auburn in Birmingham. Nice. Not supposed to work like that. But Houston is really good. Question is Marcus Sasser going to play? And I think the answer is probably no. He tried to give it a go. It's acting up, and he's just not healthy. So they've got some depth, but he's their best player. So that's a big boost for Auburn. If you tell Auburn, hey, by the way, you got to play a 1 seed, but they're going to be without their best player, and it's in Birmingham. Auburn say, okay, we'll take you. And so I worry sometimes about Auburn getting ground down, maybe settling for too many shots, and Houston is just a defensive powerhouse. We know that Tennessee held Auburn in the 40s in a game this year. That's the kind of vibe you get from Houston, but Houston's better on offense than Tennessee. So I like Houston to find a way in this game over Auburn. Auburn played well yesterday, but I like Houston to find a way against Auburn. And the last one is Maryland and Alabama, the 8-1 matchup for the Tide. Alabama's a 9-point favorite. Maryland, one of the statistics that they're strongest at, they're top 20 in the country in 3-point defense. They just don't score a lot. In their 5 games leading into tournament play, they were averaging about 64 points per game. That's not nearly enough to beat Alabama. Not nearly enough. And I somehow doubt that Brandon Miller's going to go scoreless again, and they still almost scored 100 yesterday. So Maryland's going to have to find a way to put the ball in the basket. Yeah, lean on your 3-point defense and hopefully run them off the line and do what you do best, but you're going to have to score. And right now I'm just not in a position to pick against Alabama in this game against Maryland. Bama's draw looks really good now. Really good. So I had Arizona beating Alabama. That's the team I thought would get them. Now Arizona's sitting at home watching. So we'll see. But a good draw for Bama. They'll get Maryland tomorrow, and I think they will handle their business. That's a look at the SEC teams in the NCAA tournament. I'm going to get a drink here because my throat is in a bad way, and we got to finish 45 more minutes of this show. So let me get this beverage, and we'll come back, and we will chat about SEC baseball, what I saw last night, and I saw something that really jumped out last night, plus a little flaw in one team that got exposed last night. We'll talk about that next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Beck inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Matt will recap day one of March Madness. Terrio's in studio for the Right Radio Hour, and they'll preview LSU's weekend series with Texas A&M. Join us from 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Looking for dinner plans tonight? You can drive on through. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson, or stop on in their newly renovated dining. I'm telling you, there are people that would go, I'm not doing drive-through fried seafood in Louisiana. Try it once. I had it for lunch today. It is fantastic. The fish were crispy and flavorful. Those Gulf shrimp are huge and tasty. Got the Cork sauce, and the change they've made recently. They had the crinkle cut fries, which I'm fine with, but they've upgraded. They've gone with the crispy shoestring fries, and they're awesome. Crispy, crunchy, drive-through. They'll get you in and out very, very quickly. It is fantastic. The recipe born in the heart of seafood country right down here in South Louisiana. Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp from the same folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue. It is a great new addition to our Baton Rouge food scene. Check them out for dinner or sometime this weekend over there on Government Street. It is Cork's, C-O-R-K-S, Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. All right, I did watch some SEC baseball last night. I was watching basketball, but I did watch some baseball, and both games were on, and both games were compelling to me for different reasons. Ole Miss did not play well last night. And it was very obvious that they're at a pitching disadvantage because of the absence of Hunter Elliott. We've talked about this a bunch, but they moved Jack Doherty to Friday night. He was going to be their closer, and he had a good couple of innings, and then the doors fell off, or the wheels fell off. I don't know what. I think I got that analogy wrong, but he threw 4 innings, gave 11 hits and 6 runs in 4 innings, and they went to Matt Morrell, who's supposed to be kind of their stopper, and he went 3 innings and gave up a couple runs as well, and it got away from him, and Vanderbilt ended up ruling to Ole Miss 12-2. Now, Vanderbilt hasn't hit much this year, but they certainly did last night. And Ole Miss, I just think from a pitching perspective, is a little shorthanded. They're just not great on the mound. They're really good offensively. They're going to hit. They didn't last night because Holton was awesome. He was just humming 94-mile-an-hour fastballs in there from the left side. Good breaking ball. He was great last night. But Ole Miss, I think, from a pitching perspective, is in some trouble right now. And we'll see how that materializes over time. But Vanderbilt moves to 1-0 in league play with a 12-2 run rule victory over Ole Miss. And then in Gainesville, this was loud. Florida beats Alabama 3-0. And Brandon Sproat, if you listened to yesterday's show, we were talking with Joe Healy about Brandon Sproat, Florida's Friday night guy, and about that he'd been kind of hit or miss. Well, he was on fire last night. I'm watching him. He's throwing a 98-mile-an-hour sinking two-seam fastball and then a 91-mile-an-hour changeup that's diving off the table, and Bama had no shot. Sproat goes 9 innings, shutout, 1 hit, 11 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Bama had 1 hit. Sproat was just absolutely dominant last night. And Alabama's starter, Banks, did a good job. And then they went to the bullpen to Furtado, and he did a good job. They only allowed 3 hits in the game. Florida got 3 hits. But Sproat was unhittable. And that's when he's that guy, and Waldrop is who he can be, and then you got Caglione going in the third game. Florida is for real. For real. And LSU misses him. That's just a big break, in my opinion. I mean, I watched Sproat last night. I watched Holton from Vanderbilt last night. It is a big break for LSU that they miss those 2 teams. So Florida gets off to a good start. Florida and Bama are going to play a doubleheader today, so their series will be done today. And Jack Caglione is going to start game 1 of that doubleheader for Florida. I have not seen an announced starter for Alabama, but they're going to be done as of this evening. So interesting. We said we were going to learn a lot about Bama this week because we didn't know quite how good they were going to be. They were undefeated, the longest in the league, and then had kind of a hiccup last week against Columbia. I'm not going to put too much on them for not hitting last night. If you watch that game, I'm not putting much of that on Bama. That's just a guy out there throwing 98 miles an hour wherever he wants to. Changeup was good. He was fantastic last night. Now, if they don't hit moving forward, not that they're going to see a bunch of guys who are a lot worse than that, then you might say something. But I'm going to give them a pass for the first 9 innings of SEC play. They got quite a few more to play. So tonight, the rest of the series crank up in earnest. Tennessee is in Columbia, Missouri. Missouri had a nice weekend over in Arlington to start. They won 2 games. We'll see what they've got when Tennessee comes to town. I've got a feeling that's not going to go so well for the homestanding Tigers. I like Tennessee to go up there and sweep Missouri. They'll start actually coming up here in just over half an hour at 3 o'clock up in Columbia, Missouri. Auburn and Arkansas. I'll be pretty blunt. I don't like Auburn's team right now. They're 13-3. That's all well and good. They've been to Omaha a couple times under Butch Thompson. That's all well and good. I don't like their pitching. I think their offense is really young, and I don't know if it's going to hold up in SEC play. I don't think they're terrible. I don't think they're going to go 5-25. I do think they're going to go 13-17, 14-16. I just don't. I don't love that team right now. Arkansas has got to find a way to pitch. And if you were listening to Joe Healy yesterday, and I want to reiterate it today from an Arkansas perspective because we'll see them next week. We know that Jackson Wiggins is out for the year. He was probably going to be their Friday guy. So you go to Hagen Smith as your Friday guy, who's done a pretty good job, and now they've pulled him out of that role. They're going to use him out of the bullpen whenever they get a lead, presumably, or I don't know. It's not like he's been terrible, so he's been demoted. He hasn't been terrible, but they're going to move him out of there. So we get Arkansas here at the box next week, and I don't know what their weekend rotation is supposed to look like, and I don't know how they're using Hagen Smith, but they got pitching problems. We know Cody Frank's out for the year. We know that Brady Tiger's out, for all we care about, which is next week. It's in Fayetteville. I think they should handle Auburn, but I'm curious how the Arkansas staff lines up and when Dave Van Horn decides to deploy Hagen Smith, is it with a lead or high leverage? Does he want to use him 2 times in a weekend and thinks that's the best way to win 2 games? I don't know, but I'm curious as to how that works. Mississippi State and Kentucky, not wild about either of these teams. Kentucky's not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Mississippi State's not pitching or playing defense. I don't like either one of these teams, and I'm curious to see kind of how they come out in SEC play. And that is all of your series for the weekend. So Bama and Florida, Tennessee and Missouri, Auburn and Arkansas, Mississippi State and Kentucky, and I mentioned Alabama and Florida, Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, and then obviously LSU and Texas A&M. Tigers and Aggies are on SEC Network tonight at 6 o'clock from College Station. All right, we'll take a timeout, come back. We've got a little bit more to get through here on this Friday. We'll get to what we've got coming up next to close things out here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Henniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at the Cook Hotel and Conference Center on campus at LSU, recapping all the madness. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Met a girl, thought she was grand.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I feel like I'm in like 7th grade. This song comes on. I haven't heard this in forever. Quality songwriting there. Hope your Friday's going well here. If you listen to the tease entering this segment, you're probably just on pins and needles wondering what it is I'm going to talk about. I checked the log as I was going to break, and I'd messed up the log, basically. So I didn't have anything to tease there, and then I got flustered, and then I just got it to break, and that was not very quality radio on my part, but it's Friday afternoon, you know? Who puts their best work out on a Friday afternoon? Hopefully Paul Skeens does. You think there's any chance that LSU comes out in gray uniforms tonight? Is there any chance of that? I don't think there's any chance either. I think all the players hate the grays. They'll probably come out in purple tops and white bottoms. You can't wear white on the road. I'm so old and out of touch, and I prioritize the wrong things. And I know all this to be true, but it doesn't change the way I feel. And I'm going to be sad when LSU comes out there tonight and they're wearing either pinstripes or they're wearing white. And that's just, you got to put on some gray on the road. It's baseball, but we'll see. I don't like A&M's Sunday uniforms. For those that haven't watched A&M play this year, they have Sunday uniforms that are designed to look like their cadet uniforms. So they're like that dark gray, and they wear a white belt like the cadets do, and their hat has like the cadet hats, and they all wear tall socks that kind of look like boots because it's not a good look. And they'd probably tell you that it's awesome, and I don't think it's awesome. I also didn't think that LSU's hats looked awesome last weekend when they were all camo. I think it's for a great cause, and that's wonderful to give military appreciation. That's great. I don't think it looks very good. But I'm, again, just an old curmudgeon who doesn't like any sort of change whatsoever, and that's a tough way to live because change is all around you. But I am excited to watch LSU and Texas A&M this weekend. I'm also excited to watch some basketball. For those that are just checking in and haven't been plugged into the tournament, we've got some results from today. There are 3 finals in March Madness that have, as I said, gone final. Baylor, the 3 seed out in Denver in the South region, beat UC Santa Barbara 74-56. They were down at halftime by a point, but Baylor came back and beat UC Santa Barbara. Kennesaw State played a great basketball game for 35 minutes and could not finish off Xavier. Kennesaw State led by 13 with 10 minutes to go, and they just couldn't get to the finish line. And Xavier comes back, and credit to them for coming through and getting a win. Kennesaw State had the ball, chance to take the lead late in the game. Kids stepped out of bounds on accident. Just a poor time for that error. And Xavier gets the win 72-67. They are the 3 seed in the Midwest. Kennesaw State will go home. Kennesaw State, kind of a sneaky athletic program. They get to the NCAA tournament and play well. I thought their baseball team represented pretty well in Hattiesburg last June. Obviously, they got a big lead on LSU. They let it get away. So I guess that's kind of a theme. Show up and play the big boy and give them a scare for a lot of the game and then not be able to close the door. But Kennesaw State couldn't get that done. And I hope Michigan State's got a fairly robust basketball budget because they are going to have to spring for a new clipboard because Tom Izzo smashed one in half today. During their game against USC. Izzo just snapped a clipboard clean in half due to some frustration early in the game. They were playing USC. Game went to half tied, and Michigan State holds USC to 28 points in the second half, and they win by 10, 72-62. Michigan State moving on in the East region. Surprise, surprise, Tom Izzo's team found a way to win a tournament game, so they will move on. USC's season is done. Andy Enfield's squad home for the summer. Got some games in progress right now. Virginia Commonwealth and St. Mary's are playing in a game that has about 12 and a half minutes to go. St. Mary's leads by 5. I know that was a game that Jimmy Ott very much liked to play. He thought that VCU's pressure defense would eventually get to St. Mary's. Got a chance for that to happen, but to this point, St. Mary's is keeping them at arm's length. That's a 5-12 game. It is 41-36 with 12 and a half minutes to go. St. Mary's leads. Vermont and Marquette are nearing the half. They're playing in, where are they playing? I'm not sure. It's the East region, but I'm not sure where they're playing. But Marquette, the 2 seed, leads Vermont 36-30. That was a play that Hanny liked a lot. I think Marquette's laying 13, but he liked them to cover that number. Didn't think much of the Catamounts of Vermont. So those are your scores in progress. Still to come today: Pitt and Iowa State, NC State and Creighton, Iona and UConn. That's Rick Pitino playing a really good UConn team. Fairleigh Dickinson will get their shot at 1 seed Purdue. As I mentioned earlier, Providence and Kentucky. Drake and Miami in a 12-5 game in the Midwest. That'll be up in Albany, New York. Grand Canyon and Gonzaga. Zags are a 3 seed. A little bit of a different vibe. You heard Drew Timme after they beat the brakes off St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference Championship game. He said, oh, not bad for a 2 seed, huh? They're actually a 3. So this is uncharted waters for Gonzaga over the last 5 or 8 years. They're almost always a 1 or a 2. Maybe a little bit of pressure off them. We'll see if they can cover a 16-point number against Grand Canyon. Florida Atlantic and Memphis in an 8-9 game in the East region. Montana State and Kansas State tonight. That'll be in Greensboro. Kent State and Indiana. And Arizona State and TCU is the late-night game. That'll be 9:05 on True TV. TCU and Jamie Dixon are 5-point favorite in that 11-6 matchup. So, of course, you want to fill your bracket out, and you want to have fun with it, and it's something you can ride out for 3 weeks and hopefully win some prizes. We've certainly got our bracket challenge going over here at 1045ESPN.com. You may have one in your office pool or within your group of buddies. And, man, I was feeling pretty good. I was, of course, all the tongue-in-cheek I was doing yesterday where I was talking about, oh, I got a perfect bracket through 2 games, perfect bracket through 3 games, perfect bracket through 4 games. And the bracket was looking pretty good for a while. And then you realize that you selected Arizona to win the national championship.
Who did that?
That was me.
It's okay. I think I have Houston winning, but I had Arizona in the Final Four. So
had the Wildcats cutting down the nets. They'll be playing golf today at some point in the afternoon. So that's just a huge bummer. Like I'll be upfront. Like I spent literally 5.5 minutes filling out my bracket. I'm looking at the little matchup thing on ESPN. I know a lot about the SEC teams from doing scouting reports on them for the last 3 months. I don't really know a ton about a lot of the other teams that aren't big names. I can't tell you much about Arizona State, who's an 11 seed. I don't know that much about, so let's see, who's Drake is a 12 seed. I can't tell you anything about Drake. I don't know much about NC State this year. There's another team, for example, like that's an 11 seed. I can tell you a little about Duke. I've got a reasonable feel for Kansas. Gonzaga I've seen a couple times, but so I'm just going through and hammering them. But you still you want to be in it for a while, and when your national champ is out before cocktail hour on Thursday, the whole thing's shot. I mean, it's over. You can't lose. Your national champ can't lose at 4:00 on Thursday. And I guess they could technically lose in the first 4 if you had somebody that was playing in Dayton. That's about as quick as it can be. Couldn't even get to Friday.
Well, I remember you yesterday. I watched you in the chat, and you were all cocky, and you said, there is no debate. I am the best at brackets, and all that happened.
It was perfect. It was factual because it was perfect. I was 3 for 3.
So you did have Furman winning.
I did. I had the Paladins. And I knew something about them because LSU played them last year when I was still doing hoops with Hunt. And I knew that they ran the pack line defense and had a Virginia former staffer as a head coach. So I knew that Furman would be comfortable in that style of game. So I picked them.
How far do you have Gonzaga going in your bracket?
I think a pretty good ways. I don't know.
Okay,
but
everybody does this every year. I don't. Is Gonzaga the Notre Dame of college basketball? And hear me out here for a second. They play in a relatively easy conference.
They play in a terrible league.
St. Mary's is good, but I mean, outside of that.
They play in a terrible league.
And then they get into the tournament every year, and they're like, this is Gonzaga's year, and then they get ousted in the second round.
They got to the final one year. I mean, that's not exactly a disaster. They did lose, but they got to the final. I'm trying to find them in this bracket. I don't have a good sense for.
There they are.
Okay, so I've got them. I've got UCLA beating them in the elite in this Sweet 16. So that is
that's normally when they fold. So that's actually a pretty good pick.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
None of it matters because my national champion is already out. I did take the strategy this year of trying to win some money, and I didn't really pick upsets. I had Furman. And then I had Texas A&M in the Elite Eight, which is a little bit of a stretch. But beyond that, it was pretty chalky. I had all 2s and 1s in the Final Four, and then I had Arizona. And I did think my reasoning was pretty sound on picking Arizona because they're supposedly fun to watch because they score a ton of points. Well, lo and behold, I look up, and my pick that scores a bunch of points shows up and scores 55 freaking points on Princeton, the Ivy League. How's that for scoring points?
It's okay. I had Oral Roberts in the Sweet 16.
Well, that was poor decision.
That was my upset. Look,
Oral Bob. But that's what I always do. I always find myself like, this 12's going to win. Oh, and this 13's going to win. It's going to be 12 seed versus a 13 seed in the second round. That's not going to happen.
I was driving home yesterday, and I was listening to Jimmy Ott and Hanny at the Beau Rivage, and then Hanny's like, it took Oral Roberts 8 minutes to score. And I was like, well, I'm not turning that on.
By the way, we're always talking about content creation over here and creating things that – why are we not – where's Max? Jimmy's producer needs to fire up the FaceTime, needs to fire up the Instagram Reels. I need video of the Hannegriff and Ott at the Beau Rivage right now. See, yesterday you got to be on your best behavior because they had a Hanny show from noon to 1, and they had to do Jimmy's show from 6 to 8. They're done at 1 today. And they're in the sports book, and I need to see this.
Have you ever been online and looked at the Burbo cam? You can look at it at Mardi Gras on Bourbon Street, something like that.
We need Jimmy cam. Yeah, we need Charlie cam. We probably got Island Hanny. He's near the water over there in Biloxi. He might have the Tommy Bahama shirt going. This could be epic content that we're getting, and we're not getting anything from them. And I think they're off the grid by design. I guess I need to go to the Beau Rivage to see it, but that's the content that people need to see is Jimmy and Charlie in their element, in the sports book, crunching the numbers. Hanny's going through all the data on Q1 performances, Q4 performances. He's got it all. And then you got Furman throwing in threes from 30 feet to win the game. That's the content that we need here, and we're not getting it. And that, to me, was lack of preparation on somebody's part here to not have eyes on those two guys as they inhabit their natural habitat over there at the Beau Rivage. But it's going to be a really fun week. I'm pumped to watch some basketball when I get out of here. I'm going to zip over to walk-ons real quick. We got some fun stuff we're going to do over there. And then I'm going to get back for 6 o'clock and be seated on my couch at home for first pitch between LSU and Texas A&M, which I'm very, very excited about. LSU Lady Tigers are going to play Hawaii coming up here in about an hour 45 or so. There's a game going on the PMAC right now. I couldn't tell you who's playing in that one. But Scott Ravelay's live tweeting it. So if you want, you can go check the score right there. We'll take a timeout. We will come right on back. We will close up the week's work with a little take it or leave it on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This March, take your first shot at college hoops with FanDuel Sportsbook and get 10 times your first bet amount bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 on the bracket and you'll land 200 bonus bucks, win or lose. That's 200 you can spend betting everything from money line to point spreads, that 5-12 game you've been eyeing. It's all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. There's no better place to bet the tournament than FanDuel Sportsbook. Sign up today by going to FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and make every moment more with FanDuel all tournament long. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issues, non-withdrawable bonus bets expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you or somebody knows the game problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reason,
Join us for the Monday edition of Handy Time. We'll have a full weekend of NCAA tournament reaction to recap, plus LSU's opening SEC series at Texas A&M. Handy Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Oh, you start playing 90s hits, and then you're right in my lane. My Own Worst Enemy by Lit? Come on. I mean, I don't know much, but I can do 90s tunes. That's a jam right there. Friday shows brought... well, thank you. Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It's a Lenten Friday. If you're looking for something non-meat, head on over to Corks. It's on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Brand new restaurant here in Baton Rouge from the folks that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue, and it is fantastic. I went through for lunch today. They've got somebody out there to help you with the drive-thru. He takes your order. He takes your credit card. You give him a name. You drive right on through. It's efficient, and the food is fantastic. Recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. Crispy, clean fish. That Gulf shrimp is awesome. The new fries, the crunchy shoestring, and they are crunchy and crispy, even in the drive-thru setting. It was a fantastic lunch. I highly, highly recommend. They can help you out with your catering platters. If you got a tailgate for a baseball game next week, you got a party coming up, let Corks help you out. And certainly if you're looking for a dinner or lunch this weekend, Corks on Government. It is fantastic. Quick service, fried seafood. And sometimes if you don't want to do the fried deal, they can do it with no batter. And this flavor is just as good. Love the folks over there at Corks, and they bring you our Friday shows here on the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, Taylor Sharp, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, today being St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
The wearing of the green parade, take it or leave it.
I got to take it.
I'll take it.
It's a great day. I love the dichotomy between the beginning and the end of the wearing of the green parade here in Baton Rouge. Back in my college days, you spend a lot of time right there on Perkins, right near the overpass where all the bars are. It's a happening scene. There's a lot of people, a lot of fun, a lot of energy, and some questionable behavior by some people that are of age. And it's fun sometimes. And then there's the Garden District side of it that's totally family friendly. That's where I'll be. I live over there. We're 2 blocks away from the route. Got a bunch of people coming over. Got the spacewalk, bounce house, jump, whatever you want to call it. We'll have that for the kids. We're boiling crawfish. It's going to be a little chilly in the morning, but that's all right. We're going to have a lot of fun for the wearing of the green parade. I'm very much looking forward to that, so I absolutely will take that. Looking forward to a fun day tomorrow in the Garden District.
All right, the Lady Tigers minus 32 today. Take it or leave it.
32?
32.
I'll take it. I don't know. Trust me, you're not going to get a breakdown of the Hawaii Lady Warriors from me. I don't know much about them, but I'm imagining the Tigers are going to do some work to them. So I'll lay the 32. Hopefully LSU comes out firing. Maybe a little cranky after that SEC tournament loss. Looking to avenge that. Maybe a little cranky because of the 3 seed instead of the 2 seed or the 1 seed after a really strong record this season. But I think the PMAC ought to be full. Should be a good environment. So I'll lay the 32 with the Lady Tigers. Sure.
All right, I don't want to fire you up. We're almost done with the work week, but I put this one in specifically for you, being that you're a big Jonah Williams fan.
Oh, Lord have
After
mercy.
the signing of Orlando Brown Jr., Bengals left tackle Jonah Williams has now requested a trade. Williams requesting a trade. Take it or leave it.
Take it. Trade him. He stinks. That
take
guy's
it.
awful. He's the worst left tackle in the league. I'm doing the happy dance because they traded or signed Orlando Brown Jr. in free agency, and Jonah Williams can't play left tackle. Bro, move to the right side. No one wants you to play left tackle. The Bengals did it out of necessity. They misdrafted. They didn't have anybody else. You got to go do it. There's no one in the league that wants you to come to their team and lead the league in sacks allowed. And you have a good quarterback who can move. Oh, my God. Who do you think you are, Jonah Williams? Move to the right side, sir. I've seen enough. It's Orlando Brown season now on the offensive line. That guy. How about know your role, sir?
All right, I have a bone to pick with this one, but I'll ask you. Jazz Fest has announced they will no longer sell crawfish bread because their relationship with the vendor has ended after 30-plus years.
Man. I mean, I'll leave that. Crawfish bread's good. I mean, my wife was inconsolable about this. She is a huge Jazz Fest proponent, loves going. It's not my scene. It's a lot of people. It's very crowded. I don't care that much about music. Kind of difficult to get a beverage at times, and then when it's over, it's really hard to leave because everybody's crowded all over the place. It's hard to get ride sharing. I don't know where people parked. Plus, you may have had a couple beers and you can't drive home. It's just not my favorite place. I don't love it. However, I am lucky that my wife does love it and wants to go, and her brother loves it as well, so they spend some quality time together. I take Myers. We go do something else. But the crawfish bread, that's a hit because I like the crawfish bread. I don't necessarily like the other aspects of Jazz Fest. You're a big crawfish bread guy?
Okay, yeah, well, I think it goes beyond that. Is this laziness on the Jazz Fest's part? Because there is no way. Look, when I was at Southeastern, Berrytown Produce and Hammond makes phenomenal crawfish bread. There is no way that this is the only guy that they can find in New Orleans that makes crawfish bread. There's no way.
Look, I don't have the details here, but I know that the vendor that's been doing it for 30-plus years is maybe retiring or hanging it up or not doing it anymore.
It's New Orleans. I
Yeah.
feel like there's probably 10 crawfish vendors just itching to get this spot.
Are you a big Jazz Fest proponent?
No, I will never go to Jazz Fest probably, but I mean, I'm not. Well, that's a different story. That's just not my style of music.
No.
that's not really my thing. But no, I like crawfish bread, but I just feel like you could find somebody else.
Look, I was there for Elton John, and I'm glad I saw Elton John, but it was ridiculously crowded. And then I went for bachelor party. I can't remember who we saw. That tells you how memorable it was. But it's just, I'm not a big festival guy.
I'm not an outside concert
I'll tell
guy.
you a quick story about a festival. We have a couple minutes. I went to a bachelor party in Chicago once, and we went to a Cubs game on Friday and then Lollapalooza for Saturday. And the whole crew went to Lollapalooza on Saturday, and I went to the Cubs game by myself, and then went to the steakhouse by myself, and then met them afterward, and was plenty happy. Lollapalooza, not my scene, not where I'm going to be. Wrigley Field, very comfortable there.
Not even a big baseball guy. That sounds way better than Lollapalooza.
I had no intention of going to Gibson's, the steakhouse, but I'd had a couple of pops at Wrigley, called up Gibson's like, hey, y'all got room for me to come on in? And he's like, yeah, come on in. Walked on in. I sat at a table by myself, chatted with the waiter a couple times, enjoyed a ribeye and some au gratin potatoes, and it was a great day. Just kind of spent by myself in Chicago while the whole crew went to Lollapalooza. You might think that makes me a massive loser, weirdo, social reject, and I couldn't disagree with any of that or prove it wrong. But I had a lovely time by myself in Chicago watching the Cubs, who won that day, and then going to Gibson solo. So it was an enjoyable day. Let's see if we can get a quick rundown of scores that are going on in the NCAA tournament as of this very moment before we get on down the road here. If my scoreboard would refresh. Had a few finals there, but we do have some action going on. St. Mary's is leading VCU 50-43. They've got under 8 minutes to go in that game. It's halftime between Vermont and Marquette. Marquette by 9, 39-30. Pitt is all over Iowa State in the first 7 minutes of that game. It's 16-2. Now it's 18-2 as 8 minutes are off the clock there as they play on in the Midwest Regional. So those are the games in progress at the moment. That'll do it for us here on a Friday edition of the show. Open things up, talking about the SEC's performance yesterday in March Madness. Ryan Broniger was really good. He's from Texas, covers baseball for him, went over LSU and Texas A&M. And then I gave you my thoughts in the first hour as well. Then we talked about ULL and what the heck was on the scoreboard last night, the end of hour number 1. You can go back and check that out. We did a little sketch to outline it. Then some more March Madness talking some SEC baseball in hour number 2. You can catch it all on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or YouTube as well. That's it for us here on this Friday. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further View. We will see you Monday, same time, same place. Come on, Tigers.